Motion to recess, so I just make it evidence that all five. So now I'm in the batter's box again. Oh. Um, a little summary for you. So this summary will give you a pretty good indication of what this budget is kind of all about. Kind of mirrors very closely to the last 2 years. The general appropriations go up by about a little over $800,000 year to year. Last year was about $950,000. So that's come down. That increase came down a little bit year to year. As always, and more prevalent this year, those costs are driven mainly by health benefits and insurance costs. Both of them continue to rise out of control. The general fund non-property tax revenues are actually anticipated to decrease slightly by 53,000 or 1.36%. And that has to do with some revenues that were one-shot revenues over a couple of years that they're gone. Example, the sale of Chester was bringing in $25,000 a year. This is the last year of that payment schedule. So that's half of that reduction right there. And then the other ones are just in some small areas. Some went down, some went up. You can see that when you look at the budget. The tentative budget as presented is over the New York State tax cap by 242,000. It's about the same number that we were at last year. This year's limit was 700. That number's wrong. It's 777,000, not 7 million. That's written down. Which means that if we to stay in the tax cap, we could have still raised the tax levy by 6.21% to stay under the quote unquote 2% tax cap. Village assessments continue to grow. They grew 7.15% over last year, which is really what attributes to the tax rate being down when you do the calculation. Combining the above, the tax rate increases less than 1% to $10.86.7 per thousand, which is basically 10 cents per thousand, or $40 on the average property in the village. I think last year we went down $5 on the average property. The water fund, I will be proposing some increases that will be next week. I'll provide those to you. Very minor. It's just to stay as we talked about several years ago of small increases instead of big, huge increases every 4 or 5 years. Other than that, this budget continues all your services that you presently have today. You'll see when you go through them, the salaries are probably with increases included. The salaries are about the same they were the year before, and what that's attributed to is some younger bodies in the police department. That's where that really comes from. So those numbers, we retired a guy making 100 and hired a guy making 60. Other than that, answer any questions, and it's pretty basic. It's I think it's a very good budget.
Stop, go back to the work session.
You're in the verses.
We all, we did, okay, thank you. 31 East Main Street? Yes. Come on. Good evening, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Good. So you want to open up an ice cream store?
Yes, I try to reopen ice cream pub.
Tell us, what you want to do?
We wanted to do like ice cream place with some sort of juice bar, salad. And basically it's what we want to do the most, and like maybe some like food, like a small had sandwiches, cold sandwiches, stuff like that.
So you're proposing a deli in an ice cream?
Not like a deli, it's like more like
Ice cream pub.
it's like, no, but it has all mixed, like, it's gonna have like salad, like some cold sandwiches. Juice bar, I don't know, I wanted to show you, but I don't have like, exactly what we're planning to do.
How many people do you, think gonna work it?
Like, how many people?
Yeah. To start, what are you thinking?
So start or like 8 people.
8 employees?
And then I think it's just gonna be more because like the ice cream. And we're gonna make juices, we're gonna do like almost like a Spanish, like a corn on the cup that is, you know, that's like snacks.
What are your hours, that you want to be open?
We wanted to open like probably from 10 to 10.
10 to 10,
Mhm.
7 to 8?
Yes,
And you can have like a seating area for people to eat in, or is it strictly get it and go?
probably like only a few tables, like maybe 4 or 5. We're not planning to have like a large table, it's like more like to go. I don't know if like, have you ever seen this store in Portchester? It is, Paleteria Fernandez. If anybody has seen it before? No?
No.
Okay, it's just similar to that, but we wanted to add like, some salad. Some sandwiches, and some, the juices. I don't know if you wanted to see it, I mean, I wanted to show it, something like this.
Yeah, you can change this one.
Stuff like. Well, many things, but it was like snacks, like waffles, fruit waffles, corn on the cob, salad, juices. We wanted to make like some, we're from Mexico, we wanted to do something that is small snacks like taquitos, but not like tacos, like hard tacos.
Very good.
But we wanted, there is no juices there, but we wanted to do it like juices and stuff. Smoothie and stuff like that.
Is it like, so it's like, yeah. Perfect, yeah.
I don't know if you hear.
And then everything is house made.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm.
Michoacana.
Mhm.
Michoacán. So,
His stuff is,
Exactly.
it's the same, but he's probably showing.
Thank you.
This one he does. It's the same. No, this is the place he does. We're doing it now, like from home, but we want to go.
They have to come back. Isn't that how that works? Yeah, I think that's how that works. They're gonna have that with samples. Yeah.
The next sample, Nieves. You know,
It's pretty much right on the
Oh,
I'm gonna get started.
no, that's not.
Pero-
We haven't had one in village in a long time.
Yeah. Selfishly, I just have one question. How long will it take you to open up?
We don't know, that's why when we came, we wanted to know if we can, put gas in there, like. No, sí, por eso. Like, gas, like, we had to work,
Recommending a small kitchen. A little bit small, but in one like the prayer, they would have to. If we have to order mail and we have to, it's small.
Hopefully by summer. I'll keep my fingers crossed.
I mean, we went in there and it's like a lot of work to do because I think they haven't done any work for many years, he said. I mean, all the electricity is old, I think it has to.
Is there a bathroom on the first
On the
floor?
top, no.
Yeah, if you're gonna have seating, you would need a bathroom. So,
Yeah,
Yeah, you're gonna need an architect to actually do a
Yeah,
plan.
The farmers, do we have their own parking?
There's no parking,
Mhm.
it's just only street parking.
Yeah, and the street parking, they have around, all around the front, so just in the middle. They don't have our own space.
So this, intensity wise, I mean, you're going from retail use to retail use, so with the seating, you do add a little more parking than what was there before, I would say.
What do you think? I mean,
Tony, you think parking, would that be an issue?
I think the parking, because it gets like really crowded.
You're saying 8 employees?
To start, probably it's gonna add a little bit more because.
So
I
that might
think
take
it's-
over the moment.
But you don't mean 8 employees there all at the same time.
No,
No.
no.
How many there at the same time?
You know, at the same time, I think
Yeah, probably I.
Really?
Really big operation.
I love the idea, I really do, I think it'll do good. But my only concern is margin.
Yeah, that's it.
we live in weird things. We try to find something that is hard, it's expensive. And I have a family here that they have a deli right there and he says it's pretty good spot, so.
There's a parking lot behind the building owned by the next door neighbor. Or 2 neighbors down, you could ask him if you could rent spots for him.
Okay,
I also honestly think you're gonna be okay. And the reason why is a shop like this, typically speaking, even if they're coming in and they're sitting down, they're not gonna stay there for very
No.
long, right?
Take money.
Yeah, and a lot of the clientele that you're gonna get, quite frankly, it's gonna be during times of hot, they may very well just walk there. And also during some of your busiest hours, which are typically going to be more afternoon and evening hours, a lot of the businesses around you at that point would have already closed. Right, so I think for the most part, they really should be okay parking lots.
If you need for your employees or this. Anything else you want to add or? Trustee Henry, you okay for the agenda?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Coffee?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Evans?
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Lopez? Yes, sir. Thank you. So just call tomorrow and make an appointment with the engineer and he'll start on wherever paperwork you need and then you go to wherever else you gotta go, the health department, anybody else.
okay.
Thank you.
So we're gonna also speak with the owner. I don't know if he knows that we were coming today. I don't know if you called him. You called him? We're gonna call him tomorrow.
Okay.
And then,
Just be in touch with, you have my number too, so give me a call and we could go over what you need to do.
okay, and then, but we can definitely go a small kitchen.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So,
I got like information, something like that information. You have like a business card or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. She'll hand you one when you walk out.
Oh, okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Cynthia.
Thank you.
All right, yeah, so let's start with the furthest, Measure Boston. So you can, look at your budget, okay?
Well, to start, you can see that budget year to year goes down. It's always nice to point those things out. Basically, it's the personnel line. That's what it is. Everything in his backup request, the budget items, that's included in the budget. The listing of the 24,622 is contained within the items in the budget. Then after that, there's no frills.
Commissioner, how many AEDs do we have ourselves right now?
Right now, we have 2 in service, so we're gonna get it to 3 to cover the car. The most cars we put on is 3 cars, so we're trying to get 1 more so we can have 3.
So this 2,300 would that cost about single unit?
That's 1 unit, yeah. That's the same one that the fire department uses, so we can interchange with them. So if our guys are working on somebody and EMS shows up, they'll be able to jump right in, hook their machine right up to ours.
Do we have one in the actual prison downstairs?
No.
There's one here.
I was gonna say, there's one up here.
That one's got my name.
That's cool. And the 2 units that we have right now, they're in a working condition.
Yeah, we bought those last year.
Most of all the police budget 2024 items in the those all included within the budget.
Yes.
Including the yearly payments for the body, the body camera as well.
No,
So where does it stop?
that, when you're talking body cams, where are you referencing?
So the addendum part that it goes through, taser cartridges and all of those.
That's not included at this point because there is a lot of issues with quote unquote grant that we got. Number one. What it covers, what it doesn't cover. And then there's a whole lot of issues with the cameras itself. It's not the issue. We go back to the old storage issue, which then gets convoluted further within the grant. Steve can explain that a little further. I don't foresee that being accomplished within the next 6 months to be.
You know, we talked about this last year about,
Explain it for.
Yeah. The grant that trustee Henry got us will only cover the camera, nothing else, no warranties, no, what was the other thing? Like, it was the,
So there's multiple components to this. There's the actual physical camera, there's the storage and licensing fees that you have. And then there's the actual warranties, the upgrade programs that they have. They offer a 5-year program for warranties, so in about 2.5 years, you would upgrade to the latest generation of camera. So it'd be a full upgrade, and then also at the 5th-year mark, you'd also upgrade, so you'd have 2 upgrades in that. So those prices include everything for all the sworn officers.
So if the grant, if we know that the grant is only covering the camera itself, what is it that we're waiting to get clarification on that would take? That would take longer than 6 months for you, because is what I'm trying to understand.
yeah, but not only that, how long do we have before the warranty expires?
we've been waiting, we've been going through this a lot with this grant, because this grant really wasn't designed for the body cameras. And between warranties and everything, there's yearly fees, and they don't cover any of that. They only cover the purchase, and you have to use the whole grant. We can't buy that many cameras to use that grant, so it's forcing our hands to do things that we don't need to do, and it's gonna cost us more than the grant is worth. Correct, Mike?
Yeah, so basically everything is sliced per officer. So you have one officer that's percentage of the camera, percentage of the hardware, percentage of the software, that's that one officer. So to multiply it by 20-something officers, that's how you get that total number complete for all the body cameras broken up in 5 payments for the 5 years instead of paying the lump sum. So that's how it's a whole package, basically.
No, I'm getting that, but is it that we're trying to negotiate with the grantee in terms of getting them to cover more, or do we have a very clear picture?
No, we have a clear picture. They will not cover more. You need to use X amount of dollars and that's it. And it will not cover all those things that me and Mike just explained.
Right.
So it's weird. We've been going back and forth with them, trying to figure if can we do this? It's almost like when you go out to eat, a la carte menu. It's like, if you get this, then you can't have this. But if you buy this camera, you're not getting it, like, so this was the way me and Mike came up with the easiest way to get them done.
And you mentioned that it wasn't, the grant wasn't intended for this usage. What was it intended for?
It was more of a technology or something grant, like to actually buy something that is yours, like, which we did not. We're not purchasing these to keep them for ourselves. What's gonna happen is every couple of years, they're gonna be upgraded to something different.
So this is on us at this point, right? Like there is not gonna be a scenario whereby.
They're not gonna change it, yeah.
So-
And the county has switched 3 or 4 different people that have handled this grant. And we've been back and forth with those 3 or 4 people and seem to come up with the same solution.
Okay, yeah. We have to do this.
Absolutely.
I mean, we can't.
I just want to make sure that I understand correctly. What is the total amount of the grant? That's what I'm going to.
Do you have that one?
Yeah.
And the second question is, we approach county to see if they can help us in any way, shape, or
This is how, we're doing the same program that county uses, but they will not, we cannot join county's program. I think Mr. Mills even, remember we were trying that too?
Yes.
And the problem comes into the storage, because that's our storage, not counties, there's a lot of confidentiality things that are on things, and it has to be stored here or up in the cloud or something.
Okay, now, when the opposite comes in, so let's say we go with this board,
Mhm.
how's the opposite gonna download that information into the server? Automatically, or they have to do something manually?
So obviously, we're gonna get training on it, but from West, I understand is there's gonna be a trailer, and it's a charging trailer.
Like the port, like you do your portable radio, you come
So
in,
you're gonna put it in, each officer is gonna be assigned a specific body camera. And that officer is done for the tour, they're put in the charging / communication for, panel. And that will upload any data that was on that camera into the cloud, into, evidence.com.
Are you looking to the system where the moment they go into headquarters, everything is in there?
Well, once they put it in the charging, once they put it into the case. And that's from what I understand, we haven't got anything as far as the technical aspect of it. That's something that, once we can move forward on this, then we can start engaging, project manager with them. And then start figuring out the logistics of the technology part, but one way or the other, it's gonna be uploaded on that.
And the officer will have access to change any information on the video?
No,
no,
so what happens is, there's different levels of security built into evidence.com. And on top of evidence.com, there's a redaction portion of it that will be accessible to the bosses as far as the chief commissioner and detectives. Mind you, everything is ordered from start to finish. The second you log into the portal, any changes you do, so on and so forth, it's all audited. So if there were ever an incident that we had to go back and see who tried to change what or delete what, we can find that out. The regular officers will have access to that portal just to view footage on their camera. Only, that's it. They'll only be able to view. The only ones that will have administration level access would, right off the bat, would be the commissioner and the chief, and then whoever is designated would be in addition to that, maybe somebody in the DD. Because part of the software, you have to redact certain things, right? So you can't put children in there. So that's what that software does, that we have to bring in with evidence.com to redact those things before they go anywhere else.
And do we know, I'm sorry, do we know for how long we can save those videos?
So we opted for the unlimited storage.
So that means that those videos will be there forever. Based on 5 years, that video would be.
Whatever the ruling is, and the rules are for keeping evidence and the video footage, yes. And to answer your other question, the total for all the cameras, the redaction software, the storage, everything was $152,026. And that's broken down into 5 payments of $30,405.22.
So that's a total grant, 152.
That's not the grant, that's the full cost. If
Okay,
you were to buy everything today without breaking it down, it would be $150,000.
right, so what is the grant that we have? What is the amount of the total grant?
how much was
Grant that we
it?
have?
I don't quite remember, I can get that info for you, I have it
I
downstairs.
want to say 80.
I was gonna say, it was around 80.
So it's safe to say that we go, the grant will cover half of the system.
No,
They will not do it that
Not do
way,
the grant's gonna cover the 22 body cameras.
which we'd have to probably get what, like 30 or
Well,
35 cameras,
which is a waste when it comes to the.
because then you gotta get the storage, so it upset, you know.
I think we actually put in for one extra, right, Twitch?
No, no.
Twitch, we put in one extra in case one broke,
Yeah, with two extra.
2 extra, so we
I
did
would-
put two, add 2 cameras. Extras to be put on standby, so in the event during the tour, one of them broke.
Broker has to go out for service.
So I would consider the 22 cameras should be covered by the grant. Then we're probably gonna leave money on the table, but that's okay.
No, they won't do that. You
No.
gotta use the whole thing. That's the problem we ran
Yeah,
into.
that's right. That's correct. That, we still gotta talk to them about, because that makes no sense. So leave that to the side for me. Let's say that the grant's gonna cover the 22 cameras, or 25, whatever we get. The 30,000 annual payment, that's gonna be per year, and that's gonna increase every year. That's a given. And that's not gonna be for 5 years, that's gonna be forever. You know, there's a way, I have a way to squeeze that in the budget. So I mean, if you're saying you wanna move forward with this thing, you know, I would say, yeah, okay, it's in the budget.
Can you help me understand why that 30,000 figure would be on those 5-yearly? I understand they need to continue to pay for storage, right? And all that, but I'm looking at that 30,000, that includes the 22 body cameras, correct?
No,
That was right, Mike.
Yeah, the monthly pay, the yearly payment does it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so basically what you're doing is for year one, starting July 2024, we would pay 30,405 for all the cameras, software, everything to hit the ground.
Okay, so while I'm prepared for there to be an annual fee beyond that 5 years, obviously because of source, but it should not be that figure, it shouldn't be that high, right?
For the first 5 years, that's the number, if you do it the way he just described.
Correct.
And I'm going to anticipate that that's gonna go up every,
Within the 5 or beyond?
within,
After five.
No, after,
mark my words, it's gonna,
No,
there's gonna be some license tax or something,
correct, it's a,
not a lot, I'm talking pennies.
the contract would be for.
But that 30 goes down if the 22 body cameras can come out of the grid.
Correct.
So that's what I'm saying, is that that's been what the whole tie-up is. So in your mind and budget-wise, the 30 right now for the year does the whole package.
Mhm.
And if we say goodbye to the grant, we say goodbye to the grant. There's potential that that could be less.
Now, naturally, it would be more helpful to find offsets within the budget for that as opposed to, because you said you have a way of squeezing it in, I'd rather you not squeeze it in. Is there a need to find offsets in other places that would make it easier?
Well, that's what we. I say squeeze, you say awesome.
There. Alright. I'm still learning how to speak, I'm still learning how to speak. No.
The sick thing about all of this is, in 6 months, you ask me where that was, I'll tell you exactly where it was. Without looking at it, well, that's what's sick.
So it makes you great.
How many villages in the county doesn't have the, can't, the vital county, so.
Don't know the answer.
Not many. Well, I think we're one of the last ones to get them.
So I think it's something that needs to be. For the protection and the vote.
Everyone, yes. So everything else is within the budget, the 4-lane camera, the stationary license plate reader for the 1-lane camera and 2-lane camera, that's in there.
The camera, not body cameras, the above camera. They would be contained in our capital, not capital borrowing, capital cash,
Got it.
which is in the budget.
Going to the first page, the $6,000 miscellaneous, what is that? Layers, gloves,
That's like everything, like when we, for our giveaways, you know, when we do all the Elmsford things and all the community stuff, that's to buy that stuff. Any little thing that doesn't fit into any other category, that's what we use that for.
Any other questions?
Not for now.
I'm sorry. How much money do we have? On the commissioners, on the police side? Well, how much money do we have allocated for regular supplies, gloves,
How much we have left,
players, things like that?
how much we have left on it, or?
How much money are you gonna put down on the budget for those expenses?
$5,000.
$5,000 to cover regular supplies,
Yep,
including players.
yep.
Did we ever run into a problem where we didn't have enough players in the road?
Never.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Howard.
I'm sorry, there wasn't so many questions, Commissioner.
Yeah, no problem.
Impact,
That's what we're here for.
impact, we still gonna be using impact next year?
Right
So that's a good question. I'm communication with Lieutenant Consindris. I know the county is in the process of moving Hexagon, both county fire and county police. They were waiting to speak to the county legislators to find out how and if, and there's gonna be monetary payments, to allow municipalities to move to the county Hexagon system. They have not got that far yet, so it wasn't gonna make this budget. His belief is that they will sooner than later. And that's probably the way we're gonna move, is to migrate from Impact, which is outdated, which is what we all know. There's been no new features in the last, I don't know, 5 to 7 years that were of any value. And then it would basically be a cloud product that the county PD would allow us to utilize. So that's the plan we're going into. I'm just waiting on more information to the county.
Because as I understand that we were to move into the new system within the next couple of weeks. Everything is being transferred as we speak.
Yep.
And I know Impact is not being serviced as of today.
It's still supported, so we do have support. That's not gonna change. There are updates. We just recently, a couple months ago, did an update to the server that did some fixes, not any features. But the Hexagon is the way to go, because the county is gonna host it, the county is gonna support it, it's gonna be on their equipment in the cloud. That's the way we want it.
And I don't know if you're aware, but many police departments moving towards the same program.
Yes.
Thanks, Mark.
Any other questions for the police? Steve, you can go. Because if we need more, we'll get you next week. Ryan, highways up. Highway sanitation.
Next week.
His, move this, his request memo, all three of those items are contained in the budget. And then, everything else is pretty much status quo,
Yeah.
a little bump up here, a little bump up there. The one that's really starting to aggravate me, just to point this out to you, covers it under the street lighting. That I had to bump that up to 125, and I'm not even comfortable on that number, but that just continues, just like everything else, our lighting. 10 years ago when we did the LEDs, we went through a plan where for a bunch of years there, what we were paying was basically a wash. So we paid off that lease. And now we're getting hit with rates again that bring us right back to where we started. So it started here.
We need people to not go check the street lights. Replacing the LED ones. What happens now when they get knocked down, we replace with LED. So it's the better, we need more snow.
He's talking about the Main Street. He's talking about the Main Street.
Have we? It's probably a wild question there. Have we actually seen any money in the last couple of years in terms of there being less snow and? Even we're vegetarian.
That's 6 of one, half a dozen the other. Overtime, absolutely. But the overtime goes to other places. Sand and salt, yes and no, because we have to buy a minimum amount. One of the good things with the sand and salt is the shed we have now, saved us a lot of sand and salt. I mean, 5 years ago, we would have been losing all that, or a lot of it. So that was, when it was overpriced, it was money well spent. But no, it's, you're doing something else instead of that. The wear and tear on the trucks,
maintenance.
you're gonna save money. But that's pennies too, unless something big breaks. That used to be, just so you know, I gotta tell the story. When I first got elected to the school board, when I was 24 years old. I was all full of vinegar and I was gonna solve the school district's problems. And the first thing that I tried to cut was the rock salt that was in the budget. Woo! Go White Mills.
How'd that work out?
Not good.
Did you get reelected?
Yes.
So it couldn't have been that.
Page 186, everybody okay with that way on there?
So
188 is sanitation.
Still one question on that page. The contractual services for street cleaning is increasing. Am I correct?
Believe so, yeah.
I'm reading that correctly.
But,
The budget for the contractual service for street cleaning is increasing.
yes,
Are they actually going to increase the work that they do? Because it was because.
yes,
Really?
yes. You want to explain?
I
Brian?
can't wait.
Well, I mean, basically, they figured out, not figured out, but we're gonna try a new method of the schedule of what they did. So basically, they were coming in on a Thursday and doing the alternate side on the north side of town. And then they'd come back the following Friday and do the same thing on the south side and then back on the north side, the side they didn't get. So there was always like,
No,
it's clean, but then by the time you get back,
Mhm.
so what we're gonna try, and there's room to change it, what we're gonna try is to go back to back days. Thursday, Friday, do the entire village in 2 days, skip a week, and then come back the following week. And Thursday, and just alternate the week instead of the days. So we'll have back-to-back service, the whole village clean in 2 days. And then hopefully doesn't get too bad within the following week, so.
It's also a new company with
New
better.
company, better
Oh,
trucks.
see now.
Yeah, new company, yeah. Much better trucks. Seems to be a better driver, it's gonna be the consistent driver. Where the last 2 years of the company we had before, it was one driver on Thursday, the next Friday, a different guy who didn't know. And they just kind of kept changing,
You buried the lead there.
so, but this should be more consistent work with better equipment.
We stopped the other company end of November, and a new company did December. And he wasn't sure if he could do it in 2 days or 3 days, he found that he can do it in 2 days. And with Brian changing the schedule back to where it was supposed to be originally, the guy actually did a very good job.
Yeah, he initially thought it was gonna take 3 days when he came in, we drove around him, showed him the village, and he had said 3 days. So we brought him in December before Christmas to give him like a trial run, see what he thought he could do it in. So he came back to me and said, I can do it in 2 days, and the original price that he gave me then dropped.
So they're doing back-to-back days as opposed to back-to-back weeks. I need a little clarification on how that increased by 20,000, if it's in essence. The same amount of time, it's just,
Well, I think the other company was undercharging by a lot, I would say.
Really twofold. We believe they were undercharging. They weren't undercharging for what we thought we were getting. So we weren't getting what we were asking for or thought we were getting. Being undercharged, but then also I have additional money built in here. So we get into the summer and the schedule's not working and it needs to be more, there's money in there to do it.
you. Thank you, that's all I got on that.
Those are the types of things that come to me at like 3 in the morning.
Why don't you go start sending emails to me?
I can do that.
Brian, anything else here? Anything else for highway and sanitation? Executive department, executive. Since Tony's decided we'll go to war, he's the next furthest. He's on 1F1.
Um. Everything in his request is included. And then there's no thrills and chills. So keeping the water in the one tank hot, the other one cold, and keeping it room.
Earlier look pretty self-explanatory, anything you want to?
No,
That might
no,
be,
pretty cut and dry.
We all understand.
No,
Yeah, it is.
It's not dry. Wow. On a roll, it's the eclipse. It's the eclipse.
Everybody okay with water? Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
You had a question?
Sure, the excavator, long excavator. It's in there, was that just a wish item? It's not currently included. That's for further discussion. That really needs to be a capital item. Right, I was just saying.
Dave? Dave? Steady, short chair and stuff. Anybody else? Thanks, Joe. Have a nice evening. Then we get with my right. No. Since he's an expert on this anyway. It's gonna be tied. I'll put this one. EMS.
Which their budget request is contained in the third page of other. And everything is included. The EMS lines themselves are on 185. One item to point out, basically with our revenue that we're collecting, we're basically still breaking even with the personnel stipends that have had to be put in place. That's all we want to break even.
Can I add that the stipend program has worked exceedingly well with respect to the quality of service and the response time has been terrific. And it's saved lives with cardiac arrests and overdoses.
Anything here, Nelson?
No, sir, no.
Any
Line
questions?
items are mainly, expense, not capital. The limitation we have is much stuff that we use, as much money we're gonna spend. It may push that a little bit, but otherwise.
Any questions for Nelson? Thanks. Fire department?
Their request is the first page of other. Everything has been accommodated. except for the capital items, which need to be discussed later. In terms of the budget line items, you can see that the total budget for the fire department is really the only ones that increases substantially. Goes up by almost $200,000. That has to do with equipment, maintenance of equipment, and insurance. That's where it basically lies. This present year, that budget is gonna be at its max, which had to do with equipment expenditures and maintenance of equipment. Many of what were not anticipated. So this budget addresses and plans for that issue.
The increase in repairs to apparatus are due to the age of two of the pieces being over 20 years old.
That's why I said it was always good to stick to that 20-year plan that they wrote up for us years ago.
Yes, that's correct. And that's exactly what they said when they made that assessment. They said over 20 years, the repairs start to nickel and dime and cost a lot of money.
We tried that with the police cars, remember? We tried to get another year out of them and it was costing us more to fix them than it was to buy new ones.
Exactly.
Chief, anything to add to that?
One thing with the repairs, I will say that Kyle saves his village a lot of money. Doing it in-house. Compared to selling stuff out. We just recently did the ladder to the front end apart. He saves his village a lot of money. Repairing his trucks, speed and running stuff.
Any questions for fire department? Thanks, Chief. Building department?
Safety inspection basically stays the same. There's still contained in there the personnel line item for an assistant, if that's the direction that you want to go at some point. Everything else basically is status quo. And then Tony's other pieces of that, engineering and planning and all that, also they stay status quo.
Actually, you said we got money here for us to hire an assistant building inspector.
Yes.
They're not at the point that that's necessary.
We all defer to Mr. Capicato.
I think we need.
Sorry. Oh, we have the point where it's necessary to fill that position.
I think I'm holding steady, and this is a busy time of year right now. But I'm trying to do it along with all my other work.
So I'd say let's start.
I think we should start.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to be overwhelmed and then, oh, spend 3 months trying to find something.
Yeah, so let's start that.
As you lose your mind.
And we can't have you lose.
Yeah, you know, I'm managing, I'm managing to get that done within, an hour or two a day. And fitting it in. And really, this time of the year is where it's a crunch, but the rest of the year, it's really not a problem. And then Sean has expressed some interest in helping me on the inspection side too. And I want to continue trying to make it work, as opposed to having to manage another person who might be twiddling their thumbs half the day. I can't see that. I can't sit there like that.
So Tony, you're telling us that you don't need somebody to assist you?
Correct. As long as there's some, I mean, let me put it bluntly, the village is saving $100,000 a year. I mean, if there's some compensation to account for that and me doing the extra work, I'd be happy to continue doing it.
And like you said, Sean has already taken classes up and some did already, so he's
Yes.
just fantastic.
And who's paying for those classes? It is.
There's no, he took them before he started here. Now he's just going for the refreshers like I do. So he's actually a certified building inspector like I am, more so than Dennis. Dennis is only fire inspector.
And Cody.
Yeah, Sean has all the classes, so he can do a building inspector. He just doesn't have all the experience yet on a job site, but he's passed all the classes, so. I want, maybe get him involved in some of the simple stuff to get his feet wet.
I would tend to go with Tony's recommendation and, use that if possible, and if we give Sean more responsibility, obviously compensate. And if,
There's the only way to take care of Tony.
right, correct,
I just don't wanna see them.
right.
Years we had two people do job and the both were going.
And I'll honestly tell you, to go through the exercise of the civil services at this point, I think would be futile. Because there's other people looking for people, they can't find them.
Yeah, my friend and Briarcliff that retired, they haven't been able to replace him yet. They split his position into two, an engineer and a building inspector. The engineer they hired, didn't work out, he left. And the building inspector slot is open, so they hired him back temporary part-time to continue doing the building, because they can't find someone that they like.
Rocco was gonna go back there. Rocco came from.
Sikossing. Yeah, he didn't want it.
Yeah, and then he went to Rybrook.
Yeah.
Any more questions for Tom? Thanks, Tom. Lacey?
IT has its own, you said IT. Did you say IT?
No, yeah, just about to. I was waiting
Oh,
for
okay.
Never reading each other's minds.
Well, I thought he did. I didn't.
Yeah, no, it was just coming out of my mouth. I was waiting for Tony to back up, so never, he wouldn't make any noise, but.
No, I'm gonna hang out for a bit.
So so if you turn to that section in the backup under IT. The first page is basically our keep all the systems going as we have today. Okay. And that's what it costs. So that's the no thrills. Which this has always been difficult to surmise in the past, except for the last couple of years, so we actually have a sheet like this. But turn to page 2. Turn to page 2. Turn page 2. I'm going to look at it as an a la carte menu, carte menu of possible pick and choose. My first opinion, the 288 at the bottom total is not feasible today. I think what's going to need to happen here is there's going to have to be some trade-offs of, what's totally necessary, what's not necessary. What can wait a year, that type of thing. And I will defer to the coordinator to explain what all of those things are.
All right, so for the first few line items, the 484 switch, camera village hall and new village hall camera systems. Our camera system is antiquated by best. There's a lot of areas that the camera system does not cover, both inside the PD and outside the premises. This new system would integrate with our current Cisco Meraki infrastructure, which would be all cloud-based. Storage would be cloud-based. access would be cloud-based. It would have some features, that would allow the PD specifically to make their lives easier as far as sending and sharing data, like, for example, the DA's office. It's a chore right now to download the footage onto a flash drive if it works. And then sending it over. One time we had to do it 3 times, and then it finally went. One feature in this, it would allow, the PD to send a web link to whoever that they need to, for example, the district attorney's office, and give them access rights based on certain periods of time and how much footage they're gonna give access to and what cameras. This feature has the ability to follow along, so you can start somebody entering the court, and with the way it's configured, watch them go through every door. So you can follow them in time. Right? There's things that would be triggered on motion alerts, like for example, the server room would be monitored 24/7. An alert would be sent to me when the door opens. So now I have a footage to see why is there somebody going into server. So those 3 items, the switchboard, which basically hooks everything up, the camera itself, which you can lease, so there's a lease per month. From CDWG. The installation, those are the 3 items to upgrade our camera system. Now I do want to just jump real quick to the part. So the 2 lines down, it says the Luca Park camera, the Luca Park install 48 port switch. So this is taking that same technology now and adding it to the part. So it's part of the whole infrastructure. So we would have eyes on everything in 1 pane of glass, 1 system. And this now would be expandable to put in other areas. If we wanted to do the next year, the water, we wanted to do the water shop, we wanted to do the highway shop. It's expandable because it's all cloud-based. And we already started the infrastructure with the network components and the wireless stuff that we have. This would be the next phase to that. So that's an important point I just wanted to. The 2 iPads and cellular access roads, that's for camp. Camp is moving more digital. They need, they got an iPad last year and a cellular device, which was tremendous because they could not use the internet from the school. They're now.
Stop 1 second. That is included in the budget for the game.
So if they want to expand that, they have other areas that they now need to be able to operate digitally. The gas pump, so our gas pumps at the water shop. If you look at the program was probably written in Windows XP 30 years ago, 25 years ago, something like that. Basically, Joe has to communicate the pump with a modem. And for many of you, if you don't know what that modem sounds like, Google AOL modem sounds. So that's how we're updating our gas and how we can't get reports for this software. What this actually would do would replace the guts in the head of the pump, and it would be cellular connected, so it would be all web-based. Joe would be able to have real-time insight into what the pump status is, fuel status, report status based on keys. Making, having keys made will be a lot simpler now to do that. So it's a complete overhaul of the gas system. The computers for 58B1 and 58B2 are hitting its end of life. As our call volume is coming higher, they're used now. These are rugged books. We've had them for a very long time. I think we got them understood well. Like all the other computers that we're going through the exercise of replacing in October of 2025, Microsoft will no longer support Windows 10, will no longer support any security updates. They are forcing you to upgrade your hardware or buy new computers. These computers are not going to be able to be upgraded, hence they're not going to be able to be supported.
Those are also included within the EMS budget.
VEI recording voice system. So we currently have a server in our server room that records all inbound and outbound traffic from radios, phone calls, DD, everywhere. Again, another system that's old. We actually had a catastrophic failure July 3rd, of course, the day before 4th of July, and was out of service for 5 days. Which meant we lost 5 days of any phone recordings, any voice recordings, transmissions on the radios, everything. The vendor couldn't get us a piece of hardware soon. So what they proposed, like everything else, they have a cloud system where they put a hardware device inside in our server room. It's not a computer, it's just it's a voice gathering device and then sends it into the cloud to their secure data center. And we can now easily access those voice recordings. Also, it'd be a lot easier for detectives to download that stuff for when they have to provide cases to the district attorney, things of that nature, or to the chief or the commission. Would not be on premise, would not have a problem anymore, because it would be 24/7 supported in their data center. The only way this doesn't work out is if we lose power in the generator. Then we lose everything. And not last, it was the second of this. New desk, new PD radios. For 160,000+, at least for 2,679,000. Goose Down had provided a cost to remove and put in brand new 2-station consoles, identical, with brand new radios in the desk. Including all the furniture, cabinetry to store all the equipment correctly, run the wires properly, basically do a complete upgrade from our current existing infrastructure, which the radios need to be replaced. Again, you have one machine that's running Windows XP, your backup machine is basically a telephone.
So on that one, Mike and I and Steve had a spirited debate, for lack of better words, on this issue. Because I was in my mind saying, we did that. Just did that. Give it a guess at how long that desk has been. Oh, yeah. We done it.
Oh, wow. I didn't know.
I said, what did I say? 8, 12, it's 10 to 12 years. It's all according to what piece of equipment you're talking about. If that was to be done, we would have to go to lease mode. And then the computers we can fit in, but that would have to be leased. The 2 items that reference lease, those would be the way that those have to be done. So the only thing on here that would have to be added at this point, well, minor little items, but then the pump would have to be added somehow or moved around. And the little part thing would have to be added or somehow moved around.
Mike, I just want to say, you can only imagine how much work went into this project. Coming up with all these solutions, with all these different upgrades that we need. I can only imagine how many hours you put into this. Thank you for doing that. And I can tell you that everything that you put here is everything that needs to be done. We're talking about one of the most critical departments within the world. Thanks again.
Thanks, sir.
Mr. Mills, you indicated that obviously we can, put 288,000 in trying to make a determination of which of these projects to move forward with. What is the figure that we could responsibly include?
I'd rather not do that. I'd rather have you tell me what you're not interested in, or you're interested in it all. Then give me a week to figure that out and come back to you.
I mean, I think that's the larger issue, right? Is that there's going to be interest in all of it because obviously all of it needs to be done. So I guess to come back would be, are you asking in terms of what would the priority be here? Or do you sincerely want to know what we would have no interest in? Because off the bat, I'm going to say I'm interested in everything, but I know everything isn't a feasible thing.
Right. Well, if you all agree that you're interested in everything, I'd rather start the ball that way. Let me figure out how to pay for it and come back to you and say, here's how we do this.
My opinion, I would love to approve everything, but I also would like to know on the other hand, where the money comes from.
Right, so what I'm saying is, give me a week to figure that out.
And then from there, we can kind of make a determination. Based upon where you're indicating it would come from, what we could then. Pull back on, or whether or not we would be able to go forward at all.
Yeah, that's the other one.
I just want to say something, I agree, and this stuff is really critical, it's just that maybe lowball the number here, because it says EMS total is 20,164, but it includes an item that would be billed at $7,200 a month. And it's only listed for 1 month. So that's like $85,000.
What is that?
Look at the EMS total, and it's the DEI reported.
No, that's a mistake in mine. That's for police department.
Okay.
That's not part of the emails.
Sorry. No, I mean, I agree, everything down here, I mean, since it's all life safety or something.
The other thing that'll happen, is I would tell you, what I would immediately cut out of here and to say, let's do a year from now. Is the gas pump. But the second I say that, June 2nd, the gas pump system is gonna break. I would cut next the camera system into the department. On July 1st, there will be a major event that we wish we had cameras.
Well, I think the gas pump has actually been rebuilt recently. I think what Mike's proposing is for the information going to the cloud rather than.
No, they have to add hardware to it, so it is
Right,
a
right.
hardware.
In other words, the gas pump itself just got rebuilt.
No, I mean the system, not the gas.
That's what I mean, so yeah.
I meant the system where everybody has a track.
Yeah, you should have that.
I wouldn't be able to
Exactly.
build a school.
Yeah. No, I mean, he should be able to just hit a button rather than look at all that.
Oh, you gotta see how that
Yeah, no,
happens.
so I mean, should be a lot easier.
We had the school, last month ask us for a more detailed report thing for going back 2 years. And I was stunned that Joe was able to do it. Just knowing how old that system is.
We better move on with the times. Like on that 40,000 on your computer services, layer that in yet on that one? Is that what we paid in?
What's that?
The 40,000 on your page 183 was LairNet come out of that? The computer service company, is that where that's budgeted? LairNet Technologies,
Which page am I looking at?
183. Just want to make sure you have enough in here.
There's a bunch of things in it.
Okay,
Because like when you look at page 1 here,
you know what I'm saying, Mike?
these things get spread throughout.
Yeah, all the different parts, but
Correct.
I just want to make sure it has enough for.
So the one exercise that we're gonna be doing this year is we're gonna further break down a lot of the IT numbers and give it different quote costs. Instead of just dumping everything in one, so we have a better idea of where the money is being spent and what different categories that we have. And then like Mr. Mills said, there are a lot of items like the mail, and the spam, and there's other things that are cut through all the different departments because everybody uses that.
It's like we did the fire department, we allocate. $6 million.
I mean, in that line right now in this year, that line is over. But I'm thinking
That's why I asked.
there's stuff that's appropriated there that should be in some of these other minor types.
That's why I asked, I didn't want it to be short.
So I would, let me look at that line and see what's in there first. Come back to that.
In the interest of having some people sit here, we'll go back to the public meeting.